Hi, I'm Veli from Greenwood Solutions. It's a beautiful day in May and we're down at the Western Port Water Treatment Plant on Phillip Island. Wastewater treatment plants have very large electrical loads. Effectively, the majority of those loads are inductive, being pumps, so pumping the sewage and pumping the grey water and the wastewater that this plant actually treats. Now, Western Port Water looked at the financial implications of investing in a commercial solar system and decided to engage Greenwood Solutions to deliver a 100 kilowatt system. Unlike roof mount system, there's all these overlays. You're talking about flora and fauna, you're talking about, in this case, Aboriginal heritage overlays, because we're talking about terra firma, we're talking about the ground. And these are things you really don't have to look at much in a roof mount situation. Now, this site was interesting. It required a lot of preparation. And as you can see, there's a road-based situation, and in parts of it, they've actually excavated the topsoil, then brought in another soil, compacted it down, and then put this road base. And this is obviously from a maintenance perspective. The panels we're using are 445 watt Canadian solar. Now, for the guys who haven't installed for a while, like I haven't been on the roof for a very long time, this is a very large panel. And I actually had the privilege of carrying a few of them around before, and I think you get pretty tired lugging them around by yourself. Physically, they're quite a large panel. This framing system comprises of a galvanised pile that has been driven in to the soil. But as an added precaution, and one of the stipulations of this particular site, they've concreted in these piles. The Clenergy framing is made of aluminium, so you've got this interface between aluminium and hot dip galvanised steel. This particular framing is not very forgiving if you don't get the height of the piles dead right. So you've got a little bit of flexibility here to get this beam in line. So what happens here with the aluminium, this is capped on top of this pile here, and that sits flush on top. So it's very important to get everything lasered out perfectly. So on this particular site, there was a requirement for lightning protection, and as you can see here, there's a conduit ready to go to connect to the actual framing system. So lightning obviously likes sharp, pointy edges, so it'll be attracted to the edge of the frame of the actual solar panel. So what they do in a lot of cases with lightning protection is they put a little antenna on, and that becomes that sacrificial point, and the lightning hits that antenna as opposed to the panel and the framing. Now, as part of the lightning protection, there's all this electrical protection within the DC enclosures, which house the DC isolators as well. So what we have here is the solar DC cable and the earth that runs all the way back to the inverter station. The inverter station is approximately 50 to 60 metres of cable. So obviously, do your volt drop calculations. Now, this section of the array actually has 28 panels. So some of these panels will be connected to another section of the array as part of another string. So that has to be taken into consideration here. So you can see here we've got the earths, we've got the solar DC cable coming in here to the unistrut and coming into the conduit and going underground and travelling all the way to the inverter station. So the important things obviously are, do your volt drop calculations. Ideally you want to be, and this is a should, not a shall, but really you want to be aiming for well under 3%. If you can get under 2%, that's great. In this case, the VOC voltage and the voltage at maximum power point are quite high, and a 4 mil cable is going to suffice. We are not paralleling strings in this situation, right? You have got individual strings, no paralleling at all. This inverter station will house the 3 Fronius inverters. You can see It's made out of Unistrut. We've got some cable tray here. It's going to have a roof. Now, the Fronius inverters, outdoor rated, but it's always a very good idea if you're going to put them outside to actually provide some kind of roof that will reduce the amount of UV light and obviously water, and it'll prolong operation of that particular product. On inverter number 1, there is 4 strings of 18 panels. On the other 2 inverters, there are 4 strings of 19 panels. So that's the actual configurations.